Okay, so we've got Jimmy Scott here. So Jimmy, you work with, tell us.
I'm a general manager with the Queensland Reconstruction Authority.
You've been there since the outset, were you? From the day go?
Almost. So I joined, and I still remember the day. I joined on the 14th of May 2012.
All right.
And I started as a manager in the compliance team.
Right.
And it was interesting. Back then, the entire organisation was focused on approving submissions. But by May 2012, things were starting to occur, like councils were asking for variations, councils were completing their works, and the organisation wasn't focused on that. So I was brought in and made the manager of what, at the time, what was called post-approval, which was anything that was other than a pre-approval. But of course, as the wave of work went through the organisation, post-approval became the main game in town.
I think you joined QRA at a unique time. Like, Australia-wide, it was the first time an agency like that was established. So, in a way, QRA has been a bit of it's been a pilot in its own way, and the fact that now across all the different states there's a version of it as well, it's sort of been interesting. But now currently the role of QRA has sort of evolved quite dramatically in that sense, isn't it? It's sort of the plan and prepare bit's a huge part, I understand.
Absolutely. So the evolution of QRA were initially 2 years only.
That's right.
And focused on recovery and reconstruction. And that was it. We were extended a couple of times and then made permanent in 2015. And at the time, we also took on a resilience remit. That's then been further clarified and strengthened in our legislation. And most recently, our Act was just updated in the last year or so to firmly legislate QRA as lead for recovery and resilience.
Fantastic. Okay, so who are your primary clients? Like, I sense you've got a lot of internal colleagues that you're supporting in your general manager's role, but there's also a lot of outreach of other groups as well.
Yeah, so in my current role, I'm general manager of integration and coordination, and essentially what that is, that's the forward-facing area of QRA. What does the future look like 10 years from now? How can we influence that future operating environment, and how could QRA best position it? We stood up a new state recovery and resilience group, and we support that. Now that group is chaired by the Premier and Jake Hill, the CEO of the QRA. And the primary stakeholders in that are state agencies, so director general level, so it's a very senior group, as well as the CEO of the Local Government Association. So my direct role now is focused on predominantly other agencies. QRA, the way we do, because we're still a small organisation with a large program, we do through others. So we do through our state agency counterparts, our local government agencies as well. So that's really one of the core things.
No, it's sort of interesting. I suppose it's being a new agency too at a time when having lots of people isn't the approach. It's that facilitative approach. So Jimmy, the skills that, like, if someone was going to step into your role tomorrow and you had to leave them one or two skills out of your toolkit, what would be maybe two key skills that you think that would be critical?
The most important thing is to bring people with you, and that applies not only to people in your organisation, and this is a challenge that any manager or executive manager faces. You have to create a vision that others are willing to join and join you on that journey. Now that applies definitely internally to your own staff, but it also applies externally. Again, QRA, in the broad scheme of government, we're a small agency. There's 200 of us. And in order for us to achieve our vision, we require activity right across government. So that actually involves bringing people on the journey externally, and it comes to, I think one of the key skills is the skill of influence. QRA does not have the authority to direct another council or agency to a given course of action.
Sure.
We do actually have elements in our act that we could do it, but we use those very sparingly. Much more appropriate is actually one of influence, and that's about bringing them on the journey. Co-design is an approach that QRA has taken previously. making sure that those that are going to be responsible for the delivery have a role in the development of that.
Right. Yep.
So that's really it. It's those soft skills.
No, that's really interesting because I can see, and I think it's been part of the, like, ever since I've known your team, and when Graham Milligan was there, he had the art of that collaboration, and you go into regional areas and you can't be big government. It's about how you work alongside.
And Graham Milligan, he was exceptional at it, I benefited greatly by the environment that he facilitated and created.
Which is sort of interesting because it is about that time, I think, particularly in Queensland, to actually have an agency that has arms and legs that are in the regions. It's a challenge, and I think it even highlights, I think, the challenge that natural hazards are now, because they're ubiquitous, isn't it, across the state. It's not as if it's only just in build-up areas. Yeah. So, yeah. But Jimmy, tell in finishing off, what is it you enjoy about the job?
So I enjoy, and most people who are at QRA enjoy, the benefit that it delivers to Queensland. Like if we look at essentially our staff and what we hear from them, it's purpose. That's what brings them to QRA, and that's what brings me to QRA.
Right.
In many agencies and many government departments, you can be very busy. But at the end of the day, you look at, well, what actual effect and what influence did I have? With QRA, there's a very direct and tangible link between the effort you put in and the outcome that's achieved, and few agencies can do that.
No, it's interesting. Hey, that's great.
Okay.